Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm and unfortunately dark welcome from pretty dark Berlin, Germany to the rest of the world. Today we have another edition of Virtual Happy Hour 3.5, which is a spin-off of Virtual Happy Hour 3.0. Our special guest today is a Dutch. He lives in Doha, Qatar, and he is going to compare his home country, Netherlands, with Mexico. And we will also very, very sincerely touching COVID-19. So, Marcel, the stage is yours.
Oh, that's very good. Thank you, and well, welcome everybody. So like Daniel said, I am Dutch. I don't live in Mexico. I have never lived in Mexico, but I actually do foresee myself ending my life. Well, and not ending my life. That sounds too dramatic, but have sort of my retirement there somewhere in a house along the Maya coast near Tulum or somewhere nice. I really love Mexico, and I have a special thing with Mexico because I'm married to a Mexican. So yeah, that makes you fall in love with the country already. And as you may see when you see me talk, I have this addition to my headset, and that is that
we are not seeing your camera at the moment. You have to see the camera.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, wait. That would help. Okay, now you see the camera.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so now you see the addition to the headset as well. That is an oxygen machine which is attached to me. Like Daniel said earlier, we can touch upon COVID because I am living proof that you can live through COVID, but that you can also be quite sick because of it. Like a month ago, I got COVID, been in hospital for 3 weeks, and still am recovering for quite a bit. So if you're tired of me talking about Mexico and the Netherlands, by all means, touch that subject as well. By the way, I don't know if you can see that, but there you see also a Dias de Muertos altar, very Mexican thing. It is Dias de Muertos in a couple of days. Well, actually, it started today, but the real highlight of the day is of the days is the 2nd of November. If you don't know what it is, just watch the film Coco. It's a really nice film. Explains exactly what it does. Perhaps we see the picture similar to that a bit later.
So Marcel, just to let you know, Jan Willem just joined. We have now 2 Dutch here in this presentation.
Usually way too much.
It's called Double Dutch. And we have a very special situation because all the people here, they made the country presentation. Alessandro made this fantastic Italy presentation. Christine made Canada. MG made South Africa. Maria made Colombia versus USA. Anuja, Germany from an Indian perspective. And the famous Jan Willem, he made the Dutch presentation. And Jan Willem, just to let you know, Marcel got a bit angry because I like this presentation because it confirmed a lot of my own thinking. So it will be quite interesting to see how the presentation is going to be.
Yeah, it was perhaps a bit too confrontational for me. That may be it, yeah. Okay, so nice that you set the stage. The presentation itself, if I do it uninterruptedly, is only 10 minutes. So it's a very short one. So I advise you all to interrupt as much as possible. That also gives me time to cough every now and then, which otherwise I would be doing halfway through my sentence. That's not a pleasant sight. So let me.
It's now 6:04, so we are finished 6:14, and then we all have time to discuss other things. Good, very good.
Okay, right. Let me start the presentation. So I'm using the browser, which means it's either one or the other. Either you see the presentation or you see me.
Yeah, now something is coming. Yeah, we see it. Good.
Okay. Good. Well, this presentation Yeah, so like I say, like it says, I'm comparing a few items in what sets Mexico apart from the Netherlands. What I'm going to do is, yes, I'm going to talk about some elements like how do we go to work, how do we eat, why do we eat, um, how do we meet our friends, how do we celebrate, and I'll end by just having a look at is there only differences or are there also things that we are better at. Now, so what are we talking about? Well, this is the Netherlands. That's the red, white, and blue one. The green, white, and red one is Mexico. It's the flags and the country shape. Well, and actually, we are more talking about this because the Netherlands is slightly smaller than Mexico is. Mexico actually has about the size of Europe. At least that's what I've been told by a Mexican. So I'm not don't shoot me if it's not completely true. I am really certain that the Netherlands is much smaller than Mexico. That's for sure. The Netherlands is much smaller than general coffee tables.
Are you also going to touch later on how you got to know your wife?
Oh, well, I didn't plan it, but yeah, I can tell that at any time. Oh, no, the last.
Like to find 5 more minutes because the story
Yeah,
can be longer. Yeah? So then we have at least a 20 minutes presentation.
Yeah. Oh, the stories can be very long when I talk. The last slide is actually a nice moment to pick that up. Okay, so how do we go to work? Well, Mexicans go to work by car. And there are a lot of Mexicans, so that means there's also a lot of cars. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Mexico City. But what you see is that most of the time, most of the day, like from early in the morning until, let's say, 8 o'clock at night, there's a traffic jam in almost every street. People there are fighting for every square centimeter of the road. And yeah, it's a highly congested city with a lot of cars.
And I remember the Agiforce conference last year. It was a very, very long bus ride to get to the.
Yeah. I made, I organized that one, and I made a slight error in judgment because I thought, oh, it would be really nice as a team outing to do a bus tour, which meant that we sat for what was it, like an hour and a half in a traffic jam in a bus. But we made up really good afterwards because afterwards we electrocuted Danielle, for instance. Lots of tequila, lots of mezcal. It was a really good party afterwards. So it was worth the wait in the traffic jam. Well, how do Dutch people go to work? Like this, they drive bicycles. So there aren't a lot of Dutch people. There is in total, I think nowadays it's like 16, 17 million. But there are more bicycles. So it isn't as tranquil in normal way as you see here on this bridge in Amsterdam. It's usually like this. This, for instance, what you see here is a bicycle parking place at the central station in Amsterdam. Amsterdam has about 800,000 people living there, and I think there's 1.2 million bicycles. We love our bicycles. By the way, we also do have a fair share of traffic jams, but bicycle is by far the preferred method of transport if we can do it.
Marcel, yeah? I have a question on the bicycles thing. With all the sales of marijuana, how do people stay on them?
Oof, you'll be surprised. I never use marijuana, but I have been very drunk on bicycles quite often, and I've fallen down quite often as well. But quite most of the time, the next morning I wondered how the hell did I drive through Amsterdam, being so drunk as I was. So you know, we have a knack for it, but we're all more or less born on the bike. You see mothers balancing 4 children, a Christmas tree, and shopping on one bicycle. And It's actually true. That kind of thing happens. So yeah, it works. So marijuana is not a problem. By the way, in that case, you don't ride a bike, you just fly. Easier. So then on what do we eat? Well, like you see here, the Mexican cuisine is very rich. They have got so much food, so many colors in it, so many tastes. Even if you look at the bottom left side of the screen, you see what looks like maggots. Well, it's in fact, it's fried crickets. They look disgusting, but they taste actually surprisingly good. They're like little crunchy, they taste like chicken. It's
Are
really,
those the chapulines? Is that
yes,
the name?
yes.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
I once took a bag of those back from a trip and sprayed it. So I was in a bar here in Doha, and we had this thing keeps moving itself. But anyway, we had like little trays where there used to be popcorns, and I put a bit of those chipilinas in there, and everybody was like really disgusted. But really, once you get over the gag reflex, they're okay. But the Dutch, we don't really like, we don't have a real cuisine. What we do is we snack a lot. So like French fries, we eat a ton of cheese. We eat like, there's a mini pancakes, poffertjes. There's one thing that I think the entire world is agreeable on, and that is stroopwafels, syrup waffles, the one you see in the middle. They're the best cookies in the world. And we eat raw herring. And we don't just eat them with knife and fork, but we eat them like this. Please, that's what we tell our tourists. So the tourists always eat them like this, and we just use knife and fork. It's really awkward to eat fish like this, and your hands smell afterwards. But there's also a difference in the why of eating. Like Mexican people, they eat with their heart and soul. They have a passion for food. They dance, they sing, they eat, and they talk about food all day long. You can be in a room with like 4 or 5 Mexican people, and for sure, at some point in time, the topic of conversation will be food, and they'll be speaking with passion in their eyes about how to prepare it, the recipes, the ingredients, the colors, the smells, everything. Dutch people, we eat because if we don't eat, we die. That's it. It's like it's the Calvinistic thing. We eat because you need to. It's not a big thing in the Netherlands.
And does it mean Dutch people are not passionate?
Oh no. We are, but that's about marijuana and drugs. No. That's definitely not true. We are passionate, but I think in general, not like Latin people or like southern of Europe. We are more rational, more. We like to think about things and discuss it and make everything open. And that also is reflected in the way how we meet our friends. Like for instance, in Mexico, if you want to see a friend, well, you basically just go to their house, knock on the door, you bring your friends, you bring your cousins, you bring random people you take from the street, doesn't really matter. You show up and you have a party. Whereas in the Netherlands, you plan, you call up front, or there is a website called datumprikken.nl, datepicking.nl, where you give a few dates and then you pick the most suitable for most people, which usually means a couple of days after the moment when you initiate this. So not really spontaneous. If you just go to a random Dutch house, knock on the door and say, hey, can you come in? It's very likely that the people who live there hide behind the couches.
And then how is it if you want to visit your mother? Do you make an appointment or you can just visit your mother?
Well, for me, it was always like a fixed appointment. I came every week, the same time, the same day of the week. So that was like, but I think mothers may be the exception to the rule.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I ask you this because Anuja learned this in Germany, that you can only visit your mother if you have an appointment.
Yeah, I wouldn't really know how that would go, but it's definitely true for friends. Jan Willem, would you know?
It's also been 20 years since I was just thinking. Interesting question.
Yeah,
I think probably you do need an appointment.
yeah, definitely. At least definitely for your brother, for instance. If I go to see my brother, I call him up front, and it's more or less under the pretense to make sure that they're home, but it's also to give them time to come up with a really good excuse why you couldn't come. So it's devoid of any form of spontaneity meeting up with people. This is also one of the plenty of reasons why I foresee myself at my old age somewhere on a veranda in Mexico. I like the just knock on the door principle and just have people show up. Well, there is also a difference in how we celebrate. Again, everything is centered around food. There's never a celebration in Mexico that doesn't contain food. It's also music. That you must have heard the mariachi bands. At first I always believed that mariachi bands were like a tourist thing, but really people love mariachi bands, and they sing along with it. They know the lyrics, and yeah. So there's dances like what you see. It's very colorful. But we have dances too. The klompen dance, like what you see here. But actually, that hardly ever happens. But that's the most traditional dance I could think of that the Netherlands have. And again, we snack. We don't eat during a party. We have these things like the little round things. They're called bitterballen. They're amazingly good, especially in combination with beer. And never eat the first one because it is filled with pure lava inside. It's piping hot. First time you take it, for sure, you will burn your mouth. But once you find the technique of how to eat them in a safe way, they are the best things you can ever eat. I think. And again, do always eat them with a good beer next. So that's about our celebrations. But
Peter,
there are. Sorry?
I'm just sorry. I unmuted out of Bitterballen. I ate a lot of them in Amsterdam.
Yes, those are good, right?
Yeah, they are excellent. Beer, perfect.
See, and when I was in a bar in Amsterdam, you never order beer. You order bier met bitterballen. It's like one word, bier en bitterballen. So on a night, you usually have several of them, and for some strange reason, well, it's actually quite a clever reason. They always give them in portions of 7 of them, which means that if you're let's say with 3 people, each eat 2 of them, and then there's 1 left. So you always have that okay, who takes the last bitterball? Which also means that then the other 2 feel left out. So you have to order the second portion. So it's like economically really sound way of doing it. It's to always deliver stuff in prime numbers. It only works perfect if you're with 7 people, of course. But yeah, you're hardly ever on, especially now with COVID. And the thing next to it, that pink one, is called a tompouce. It's really nice, but absolutely impossible to eat in a polite way. Because if you put the thing in your mouth completely, you'll be covered in that yellow pudding. But also if you use like a knife and fork, it splats all over the place. So that's I think also part of the reason why that's so popular, because it's really funny to see people trying to eat it. But the two countries have also a few things in common. Like, for instance, we both like to party. Where the parties in Mexico are many colored. Well, here is what you see is a Dia de Muertos parade, which actually wasn't the thing. I wasn't aware of this, but do you remember like a couple of years ago, was a movie, James Bond, that opened in Mexico City, where James Bond blew up a house and ran through this parade? Well, that was the very, that scene. That was the very first Dia de Muertos parade. It was staged specifically for that film. But the Mexican people liked the concept of having that parade. So after the years after that, they kept it. So now it's become a thing, but that's purely because of Hollywood. Well, and the Dutch, the one day when you need to be in the Netherlands is King's Day. It's 27th of April. Wear something orange, as you can see. You have to be orange, and you have to be in Amsterdam. At least that's my view.
But of May, the Koningindag, wasn't it?
It used to be the 30th. Yes, yeah. That was the birthday.
Because that's my birthday. Because we went often to Amsterdam, so I've been there often.
Yeah. It used to be, and every year that's kind of funny, because it used to be the birthday of our former Queen Juliana. It was on the 30th of May, when her mother became the Queen. It was Queen Beatrix. Her birthday was in the end of January. So she realized my birthday is not the ideal time of year to have a big street parties. So as a way of honoring her mother, she kept it on the 30th of April.
Exactly.
But when our current king, Willem-Alexander, became the king, his birthday is the 27th of April. So that's a perfect day for this as well. So he moved it to the 27th. And it's so funny, every year it's the same thing. On the 30th of April, you have a food tourist coming out of the central station, completely covered in orange, because they had an old travel guide that said 30th of April is Queen's Day. It's a great party ever. And where's the party? And
but isn't it the 1st of May also a bank holiday in Netherlands?
No, actually, it's not. That's the Labor Day. It's just a working day, and we were always really sad about our neighboring countries, like Germany. I think it is a bank holiday. But so you had this, when it was on the 30th of April, you had this massive hangover on the 1st of May, and you still had to work. So it was not ideal.
It serves you right, Marcel, for wearing all that orange.
I have a question. Why the orange color? Like, what's the meaning?
The answer is actually quite simple. Our royal family, then the last name is Orange. So we have William of Orange. Okay. It's just his last name. If he had called William of Pink, we would have a different problem.
Okay.
Is it orange though, or is it oranje?
In Dutch, it's oranje. Yeah, true. Yeah, very true. So orange again. It comes back in our other shared passion. We both love our national teams on football, and we both dress up strangely for that. Mexico using.
Did you ever win something?
Oh dear, I now need water. No, actually, no.
Yes, they did win something back in the day with Marco van Basten and Eric
Yes,
Reina.
very
That
true.
was the European Championship. But interestingly,
1988.
yeah, has Mexico ever played the Netherlands in soccer?
Oh, that's a really painful thing as well. Because
They even lost to Argentina 78, huh?
yes, it was in. I think there was a World Cup in South Africa where the Netherlands were against Mexico in the not the quarterfinal, but the round before that, where so up front Mexico was. My wife is getting angry already. Mexico scored quite early in the game. Holland played really bad, but at the start of the second half, the Netherlands became better and better, and they scored. But it was still 2-1 for Mexico. And in the very last minute, I think it was even in extra time, Ian Robber, well, he got pulled down in the penalty area, and was a penalty awarded. Dutch team took the penalty, scored, and ended up winning that game. And all the Mexican people, up to today, when you mention the words Robben, they say no ergens un penal. They were so certain that he staged it. And of course, we Dutch, we know much more about football than they do. So we know it was true, but yeah, there's no way. Trying to explain that, oh my. Okay, so this is probably the last day of my life. My wife is now looking at me and looking for something really sharp.
Marcel, do you want me to save your marriage?
Yes, please.
Shall we show them the video of the girl?
Ah, what was the name of the song?
Daniel, do you know how to display a YouTube video and with sound when you share a screen?
Yeah, I will just put here this. I put it here in the chat notes because you were texting it to me, and
What video?
it's now in the chat notes.
No. You want me to? If I send it to you, you show the video. Hang on. Do I need to reply to whatever I see? This is chats for everybody. I don't know.
Yeah, everybody can see it. Read this tactical blah 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 and so. Okay, yeah.
You have to do it with sound, and it's with Dutch subtitles, but I sense that some of you understand a bit of Spanish.
And if not, you can get it.
Wow, what is this?
So Daniel, do you want to play it and share with everybody if you know how to share sound? I don't know how to do that.
Wait.
It must definitely work. We do all of our events on it.
Yeah. Depends on your settings. Mine is a bit. I got an old Dell. I can't even use your nice fancy wallpaper.
I hear it.
I hear it, but we don't see it. We can't see it, Daniel. Are you sharing?
Yeah. You cannot see it?
No.
No, I cannot.
Can we look?
I thought it was Daniel singing.
Now you can see it.
Yep.
Yeah, now we can.
guess you get the drill now. What you singing?
Yeah, pinche Hollandeses means something very not nice, Dutch people.
And is there something from the match? No, nothing, huh?
No, it's more about the girl. No, it's the girl who's becoming really upset. But it went viral in Holland and Mexico, obviously.
I have a nice thing. At least me and somebody else on here can understand Dutch.
MG, is it like Afrikaans that you can read it?
Yes, I can read it. And the words they're using in there is not very nice.
No, it's not. It's not really friendly, but it's nice. It's funny.
I understand
It's
Spanish,
funny,
and
it's
yes,
funny, it's funny.
the words are not nice. I didn't understand the whole thing, but the words that I understood were not nice. Yeah.
Jan Willem, I think you broke here the basic laws of our virtual happy hours. No bold words and so on. So I don't know how our legal attorneys will see this. We have to see the situation. That's really.
You already you're posting the video. You put, so don't forget to put your text again on LinkedIn where you have to say, please be careful. You might be hearing rude words. And then
Exactly. That will save you, Jan Willem. Okay, that's
A disclaimer.
And by the way, the fact that you invite 2 Dutch people, that's asking for trouble. So you should have known this up front. Okay, I was, by the way, almost done with my presentation, so let's just get rid of it. So the football we did, yeah, one of the last things is, it's actually both of them are really beautiful. Mexico has a history that goes back way before the Spanish raped the country. Came there. It's really beautiful. There is so many different landscapes, so many different climates, from desert to jungle to cities. It's beautiful. Just go there. The Netherlands, well, it's flat, but it's very, very interesting as well. If you try to go in, let's say March, April, when half the country is covered with flowers. There is more than windmills and flowers in the Netherlands, but yeah, it's really nice as well. And like I said earlier, those 2 countries are the suppliers of the world's best marriage, at least that was before I did make those Mexico jokes.
Please tell us the story, how you got to know each other.
How we got to know each other. That was funny. We, well, at that time I worked for KLM still. I was at a conference, a Jefferson conference that was taking place in Amsterdam. But I had moved on within KLM. I wasn't really working on crew rostering anymore. But because I came to that conference quite often, and because that conference was in Amsterdam, I decided to take a visit there anyhow. My wife was at that time working for Aero Mexico. Sorry?
Aero Mexico are they not also in Sky Team?
Yes, yeah, they were. Yes, and she was a purser there on Aero Mexico Connect, but also the representative of the union. And as such, she had been heavily involved in the introduction of the iPad on board and PBS system. So for that reason, they asked her to come to Amsterdam as well. She didn't really want to, but she was more or less forced, so she showed up there as well. And then we had the opening day, and they asked me to do a few words to welcome all the guests. So I did. And once I was done, the Mexican delegation came in, and I was introduced to this girl. And the first thing I said to her is, "Oh my God, I'm going to marry you." And
I think that's an example of the Dutch directness, because Dutch are very direct, even more direct than Germans. Huh?
Well, in this case, Mexican directness is also quite clear, because she ran away But yeah, I ran faster. So that's how we met, and that was that moment was about 5 years ago. We're now married 4 years ago. And
can we now play this game that she is now getting into this call and she is explaining her story, how she was experiencing it, and then we see how much is really similar?
No, she has been hearing me tell this story so many times that it has now become her reality as well.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. If you repeat it often enough, it comes through. So, well, this is just a summary slide. Great countries, a lot of difference, a lot of common, and you need to visit both of them. So that was basically it, what I wanted to say. So I will now turn back my camera on. And
I have to admit, and I think we exchanged this on your marriage anniversary, that for me the food is really a thing in Netherlands. I will never forget. I had conversation with Transavia and Transavia France, and I will never forget. We were in the canteen of Transavia France, and that was, of course, La Haute Cuisine Française. And then we went to Transavia in Amsterdam.
You probably got.
That is really something for Amnesty International. I would say every prisoner in the world gets better food than the guys from Transavia, and that is something for me.
Oh no! The Transavia cafeteria is the envy of all the KLM crew. So it can be worse. No, it's true. Like I said earlier, we don't really care that much about food. So, like for instance, I work quite a lot with a Swedish company. The first time we went there to Gothenburg, we were working, and then they said, okay, so it's 12 o'clock, let's have lunch. And I said, no, we're way too busy. Can't we just order sandwiches and continue? And they looked at me, what? Order sandwiches? Are you crazy? Because for them, lunch means 12 o'clock, you go to a restaurant. In Sweden, it's actually state sponsored. So you have like a full meal, complete with some letto, which is like light beer. And that takes about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. And then you start working again. Yeah, we just take our sandwich and continue typing while we eat. So much more efficient.
But now I understand better the hotel selection from the Agifos crew 2017 hotel selection. Was very efficient, was very close to the airport. Because my thinking was, of course, I come to South Africa.
Yes.
Under the stars of Africa. I was moon and so on. But instead, I saw the highway. I saw a roof. That's the Dutch efficiency.
No, this was the Dutch inexperienceness. This was the second one I organized, and I had no clue. So the first one I did in Doha because that was easier because I was there, and we had our local management team take care of everything, and that was perfectly arranged, and it was. Like if the chief from the Al Bakr, if he was to join, which was the plan, there was this amount of flowers needed. If he doesn't come, we could do with these kind of flowers. So there was all kinds of protocols on what you need to do. And then the second one, it was in South Africa, and I had no clue how to do it. So I let them pick the hotel, organize the parties. They were a bit frugal, I must say. But still, it was a good parties as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the end of the day,
let's talk now about this thing, because you have this additional device in your nose. So I remember you were kind of informing me, and so on. And we have still always these discussions around the world about COVID-19. And I think you are now a world-class witness to give some more insights. So maybe you can explain the other, how you were kind of feeling it, how you went through it, and so on. And because it's still something which is for many people very far away. I know we have another colleague here who had the same, but not that strong like you. And I was always, when
do the rest of you still hear Daniel? Or?
No, he's frozen.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Okay. He explained earlier to me that he has a background that he uses with a picture of him if he needs to step out. But I'm pretty certain that that's not this picture. Okay. Well, I'm guessing that I realized what he wanted to ask. So if the rest of you are still here, I can just answer. He just misses. He misses the background. But but he's recording it, right? So if he misses this, well, too bad. Okay, is there a way to sort of revive him?
I think he'll come back eventually.
Huh? Yeah. Okay, he's well. Anyway, let me just. It's basically for all of us to wait. Let me start on this. When this whole COVID thing started, so this was like halfway March. Here at Qatar Airways, we were more or less all told to work from home, which was a novel thing, because so far working from home in Qatar was a very, very big no-no. So I did that. I moved my screen. I have my setup here at home, and because I am approaching 60 and had some underlying illnesses as well, I realized I am in that group which they call the high risk group. So I took it quite seriously. I stayed indoors most of the time. Whenever I left the house, I did it with a face mask. Didn't go out. Well, quite soon after that, most things here shut down anyhow. So like bars were closed, restaurants were closed, shopping malls were closed, except for the supermarkets and drugstores. So yeah, I lived the completely isolation life as it was supposed to be done. But then, after a while, you start to get slightly more relaxed. And in August, there was more or less, Qatar had opened up a bit more. So like bars, restaurants, shopping malls were open again. And the 1st of August, they said, okay, everybody needs to be back in the office again. Me, because I was a high risk group, I was brought back later, but they still said, yeah, we would prefer you to be at least one day a week in the office. So I did, and then halfway September, I was in a meeting room with it was like 5-6 other people. I sat quite far away from everybody, but yeah, halfway through the meeting, my battery of my PC broke down, and a guy next the other side of the table said, "Oh, sit next to me, then we can share the cable." And 3 days later, that guy said, "Oh, I've been tested. I am positive." And yeah, 2 days after that, I found out that I was positive too. At first, I thought, it's easy. It's just a man flu. Well, us guys, we know man flu is really serious, but still, it's not the as bad as we thought. But then after a week or so, about a week, I also started having trouble breathing, and that's when we found out that I had a severe pneumonia. They took me to hospital, was there for a couple of days, and then they moved me into the intensive care unit, where I stayed for about 10 days. Then one more week in a normal unit. And now I'm back home with this device in. And
how many kilograms you lost?
I lost 9 kilograms. So if you want to lose weight, this is really efficient. It's
But
not.
the side effects are a bit tricky.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sort of on the sort of dramatic side of it all.
Yeah.
No, I could really not recommend it. Plus, again, if you're married to a Mexican woman, once you're back home, within a week you've got 3 kilos of that back. And it was so good.
Perhaps doesn't relate to the illness, just to the fact that you were not under her kitchen anymore.
Yeah. Oh no, that's very true. The kind of food they give in the hospital is so ghastly. Well, the food itself is bad enough, but then every day you get it cold. So you're eating like cold chicken with cold potatoes and cold rice, and really, it was horrible. Plus, the illness itself is also not good for your for your body weight. Yeah, and the first night when I came back home, there were tacos made with T-bone steak, and I think those tacos alone gave me back 1 kilo. It's amazing. It makes such a difference being home versus being in hospital, having the care of your wife versus having the care of nurses.
And you were kind of expecting that if you are just walking from the bed to the bathroom, it was for you like a 10,000 meter run.
Yes, well, not even was. That is still the case. During the day, I sometimes take this thing off. If I sit still, just sit on the couch, read a book, I can keep it off. Depending on how well I feel that day. Earlier this week, I could take it off for 6 hours. Yesterday, I wasn't even able to do it for more than 10 minutes. So if I sit still, it's okay. But the moment I stand up and walk to the balcony, which is about 10 meters. Then I'm exhausted. So as you probably now start noticing, my coughing increases when I talk a bit too much. It's my lungs basically are severely damaged. So
and the colleague who was also tested positive, did he also suffer the same, or is he completely different?
No, that's the annoying part. He just had the flu. A problem shared is a problem half, right? No, but to be in seriousness, he had I would say like a really bad flu. So he stayed at home. He felt like really bad. He infected 2 other people as well. One of them had mild flu symptoms. The other woman, well, she was also quite sick, but also not so bad. But she infected most of her family members, and sadly enough, the father didn't make it. So he passed away last week. It really is really, really severe, and you can get it by the simplest things. Like I have been so careful for like half a year, trying to avoid crowds, trying to avoid everything, and then you sit next to a guy who, at that moment didn't know he was infected, and you get it. So you have to be really careful and vigilant all the time, and never let your guard down. And I'm pretty certain that, because when I sat next to him, I was speaking during that conference, so I had my face mask down, which had I kept it on, probably would have been fine.
And what is your message to all these people? For example, now in Germany, from Monday on, we have a so-called friendly lockdown. I call it friendly because we are still allowed to go wherever we want, compared to other countries where you're not allowed to go out. We can drive wherever we want. We can make sports on our own and so on. And people say, "Oh, that's terrible," and blah blah blah, and that's not the right measure for the amount of fatalities we have. So what do you say to these people? Or what do you think about these people?
I want to.
It's not a big thing.
I want to grab everybody and slap them in the face and say, listen, wearing a mask is not the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Just do it. Really saves lives. And because there were other people in the same room who were not affected, but they were wearing masks. And so it's so simple like that. When I was in hospital, I also wore a mask, but that was one that was really screwed tight on me, where they pumped high pressure air in my lungs. So for me, I want to make a meme where I have just a regular face mask and that one, like, okay, you choose, wear this one or wear that one. And I understand for people who, for instance, if you own a restaurant, then it is really awful to see your business being taken down because of this. And the same goes for basically everybody in the airline business. I have friends who are no longer working at Qatar Airways because we had to lay people off, and that's really dramatic for those people and not to be taken lightly. But still, we are talking about people dying because of this. It's not a flu. That's 100% sure. I've had flu all my life. This is nothing like it. My lungs currently are destroyed. They will come back, at least so I've been told. So I'm assuming they will come back to its former glory. I will be running along the streets of Doha, but that may take several months before I get there, all because of this COVID thing. And I'm lucky. I really am lucky because, for several reasons. One of them is being here in Doha. While we're now comparing countries, one of the biggest things that I see between the difference between Qatar and the Netherlands in respect to Doha, or in respect to Corona, is Qatar is run by an emir. It's not a democracy. So when the government comes up with guidelines, there are rules, and those rules are to be maintained, and they're not discussed. Like, for instance, the curve went up quite dramatically in Qatar, just like it went in most other countries. And then in Qatar, we introduced, or not we, but the government introduced an app called Eteras, which shows 4 colors. You have green, red, yellow, and black. Green means you're okay, you're positive, you're negative, you don't have COVID. Yellow means you are under quarantine. This is showing that my wife is green. So yellow means you're under investigation. That means you've taken a test that up until the moment when the results are known, you're in home isolation. Red means you're positive, you have the illness. And black, which is, by the way, it's not black, it's gray, doesn't really matter, means that you're under suspect. So you haven't done the test yet, but you've been close to somebody who was red. Now, when you're outside in the streets, Police can stop you. You have to show the app. If you don't have the app, you get a huge fine. If you show the app and you are green, then it's okay. But if you're yellow, which means you're supposed to be in home isolation, you're outside, you can go to jail. So it's like really strictly forced upon. Any restaurant, any bar, any shop, if you want to come in, you can only come in when you have green. When it was first introduced, a lot of us expats, we were like, what happens to my privacy?
Yeah.
They don't care that much about privacy. No. So at the beginning, I was also like, is really necessary. But a couple of weeks after the introduction, the curve that went up really dropped down. And ever since now, every day is roughly the same. It's about 200 to 300 new cases every day. There's no second peak. There's nothing. It stays more or less constant.
And we would love to have 200 cases in Germany, and we have 14,000. So
yeah,
that's exactly what is the problem in such a pandemic, that democracy is having its limitations when it comes to crisis.
This kind of thing. Yeah.
But Qatar Airways was one of the, I think, not many carriers. They kept on flying, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah. We've never stopped. Yeah, that's true. We have also reduced. I think at this moment we're about 50-60% of our capacity. But while most others dropped completely or went back to 15%, we were still flying at 40%. Quite empty, I must say. But still we kept flying. But we focused very much on the repatriation of people. No, the Qatar market is really small. There's like 200,000 Qataris, so there's nothing. But we brought, because of the geographical location, we're the ideal carrier to bring people from all over the world through Qatar back home. So that was very much what we've been doing over those
Maria,
period of time.
I remember your face when I was announcing Marcel in the beginning. And I also remember what you were saying in one of the women's panels, that you are scared and so on. So how is all this, what Marcel is saying now, how is it resonating with you? Because I think you were pretty much concerned about the COVID-19 situation and so on. Now you have a guy who went through COVID-19. What is it doing with you?
Well, for me, it's a shock to see someone that went through that, because to be honest, it's the first time I see someone. You always read in the news, or you always learn about the cousin of someone, or, you know, like someone in the office that you were not that close. So it's like, oh my God, this is real, and these are the consequences. So that's really touching. Also touching. I don't know why I keep thinking about his wife. I can only imagine like how anguished, or, you know, like what she felt when he was at the hospital, yeah. And, you know, like what the family suffers. That's also something, not the one that's sick, but also the ones around. And I am in shock because we have in this country people denying the reality, not wanting to use masks, and diminishing the real problem, and just, you know, take precautions, follow the rules. I feel that I have freedom, but I still use my mask, disinfect my hands. So I don't understand, why is it such a hard thing to do to avoid peaks like the one, yeah. what we're having now. And yeah, that's what's going in my mind, like through my mind. Yeah.
So yeah. Daniel, Daniel, if I may also answer that. Is we are extremely proactive in our house and careful. You will see everywhere, you'll see a spray, and we were really strict with all the lockdown rules. Unfortunately, it didn't work for us. I myself got sick. I did not get to the level as Marcel. However, I do understand when he says that how difficult it is just walking walking up the stairs. When I got up one flight of stairs, I had to stop. For me, I didn't have as bad symptoms. I didn't need to go to the hospital. However, every day I woke up feeling unable to wake up, unable to walk. It was this extreme fatigue, and the flu was there. But what I will never forget is having no energy, that not able to get up, not wanting to get up. And it's now been Daniel, a month, and the fatigue doesn't go away.
But
It is, you are tired every time,
treatment?
every minute of a day.
You were not go to a hospital and so on, so you were staying home. But do you still have some treatment from your doctor?
Yes, I was on a they basically threw everything at me. So I was on 3 different. I was on antivirals, antibiotics, steroids. I took a picture of my hand with all the different kinds of amounts of pills they gave me 3 times a day. So I'm in my 30s. That helped, and so that helped me a lot. And like, there's no real protocol for this, so they just threw everything that they got. So I got the man flu, but up to till day, and I'm still struggling with it, is the fatigue. It's just horrible. It's just you work for a couple of hours, and if you don't go lie down, you will just fall asleep.
No, but this thing that it attacks your lungs very much, and by doing that, it makes that the amount of oxygen that gets into your blood is reduced. Normally, it's supposed to be that your blood saturation of oxygen is around 98, 99, or 100%. If I don't wear this thing around my face, it drops to 80. With this, it gets, well, depends on how high I bring the level of oxygen, but it gets to about 95. And if it gets lower than that, you get exactly what you just described. You get tired. You don't have energy. This thing next to me is sort of my remote control. If I crank it up, I'm more powerful. Like now I speak quite a lot, but that's only because I've just put it prior to this. I put it on max because otherwise by now I would be saying So it's your lungs are just crippled because of this, and it will get better, but it will take time, and it's quite scary. The other thing that forgot your name. Sorry, you mentioned earlier was what does it do with your partners? Yeah, that's quite a lot. Luckily, my wife was tested along with me. She was luckily negative, and she remained negative all the time. But of course, me being in hospital and her being here at home, it's far from ideal. Of course, she's scared, and luckily, because she was negative, she was able to visit me in the hospital, and that pulled me through. Because there's really nothing more depressing than to lay in a intensive care unit in the hospital with 2 people up front of me who were just completely unconscious with machines doing all their vital functions. So luckily I had that. But it was really the scariest moment in my life when the first few days in intensive care, when because my body wasn't reacting to the virus, so it wasn't making antibodies by itself. So every day I became a bit worse, and I was thinking like, okay, how long can that go on before I become a vegetable myself? Well, luckily they came up with something right. They gave me blood plasma that contained antibodies. And that was like a rejuvenation process. My skin radiated. I felt like somebody had switched on the light. I really felt like day and night difference in how good I felt. That blood plasma, I think, is the one that, get me to be where I am today. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah.
I would say that's one of the most exceptional virtual happy hours we ever had since end of March. Marco, Alessandro, Anuja, Christian, James, Maria, Jan, MG, you have any further question?
No, I just want to wish my brother from Qatar well. Marcel, I was sorry to hear that you were infected, but I wish you and your wife well, and it's good to see that you almost fully recovered. So hang in there, brother.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers, speedy recovery, Marcel. It was a very wonderful session. Very touched by your experiences with COVID. So yeah, be more careful always.
And actually, you should go to all these disbelievers out there who tell COVID is a
myth.
The myth.
Yeah.
Interesting, Marcel. That's it's very special. You are the very first time in the virtual happy hour. I've never seen that, for example, Marco is not saying any word. I think he's pretty much touched from it. Also, Jan is not saying anything. Alessandro is not saying anything.
I'm listening.
They are very talkative. I just have to say Alitaya, and Alessandro would talk and so on.
Hey, but we should also mention, I mean, we've got also MG who had COVID now on the call. Are you fully recovered now, or are you still fighting?
I'm recovered, but it doesn't feel like it's left.
So you left? Oh, crazy.
No, I'm recovered, but like I said, it's a struggle every day to get up.
Did they give you that thing with the balls? They gave me a device. Do you have the thing with that balls? It's a device. It's a respiratory meter. I think it's called.
A thing you put on your fingers?
No. It's
the oxygen in your blood, actually.
This is the one you put on your finger.
Yeah.
No, the other one is it's a device that has like 3 balls in it, and you have to inhale through it.
Wow.
And if you do it powerfully enough, those balls go up. I think
I know. I've done
checks
that.
your lung capacity, I imagine.
I've done that test before, but I haven't. It wasn't given to me during this period.
Okay, because this apparently try to find it, because if you do this often enough, at least that's what they told me. This is the only device they say that actually helps in expanding your lungs and to grow them back to their. So it is like a home trainer for your lungs. So try to find one, and then who knows? It should work. At least according to all the people there, they kept hounding me. I needed to do this every hour. I'm a bit too lazy. I do it a bit less, but I still try to do it as often as can, because everybody says, this is the only thing. No pills, no ever. The pills are there to get the virus out and to get the bacteria out. But once they're gone, you're left with scars in your lungs, and this thing is the one that should recover this. So I would recommend you try to find one.
I do have in the evenings when I lie still in bed. I can still hear the wheezing. So, like I said, I am recovered, but it sometimes feels like it's still there. But like I said, I was not nearly as severe as you, Marcel, and I'm very thankful for that. For me, it was just a flu. It was just the ever lasting fatigue and being tired, and that was what was a killer for me. But on the bright side, a lot of people here in South Africa are now getting to, I think it's called, we should maybe call it mask fatigue, or COVID fatigue, where they now start saying things like, "Oh well, I just want to get it and get it over with," right? So that's unfortunately a lot of people are starting to say that. James Leon, I don't know if you agree, but people are getting to a point where it's like, "Oh, I know people who had it. It was just mild. I just want to get it and get it over with."
Yeah.
That is the sad part. Yeah, so
get it again as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, from my perspective, it's you have two parties. The ones that are still abiding by the your sanitary conditions and stuff, and then others, excuse the French, that don't give a shit. But those are the people that's going to infect you. You can only be so careful. So that's what really gets my gut going is the people that won't walk around with a mask, or if they help you, they don't have a mask on. What I like about in the restaurants is that the service people would ask you, do you mind if I wear my mask? And if you say no, we don't, then it's fine, or we do, then they have their mask on. So I think it's just a matter of consideration and respect for each other, that we keep as much of the safety criteria going. I mean, it's quite a shock for me. I know Daniel said Marcel was sick. I didn't know we had COVID, and now we got M here as well. In such a small group to have 2 people that's infected, and of course we all know of people that have been infected, so it's very relevant, and I mean it affects everybody.
Yeah, and I so understand that, especially young people. When you're young, you want to party, you want to have fun, you want to go out at night. But and yes, most of them, when they get it, if they get it, they're just sick for a few days, and that's it. And then they're safe, like they said. But what they forget is that they go home and infect and maybe kill their grandfather.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what you saw happening now in the Netherlands. That the peak, in the early peak, the one in April, May, was about 2,000 cases per day. Now we're around 10,000 cases. And yes, there are less people in the hospital at this moment. But it's only because it starts raging now into the more vulnerable groups. It will go up there as well. Or perhaps most of the vulnerable people had it in the first range, but still, it's such a scary gamble to take. You shouldn't be gambling with something like this. So yeah, I hope that...
You said at 18:04 my time, which is 20:04 your time, that after 10 minutes we are done. It was the longest 10 minutes of my life, but I think one of the best 10 minutes of my life. But still, as we have Mexico versus Netherlands, and I got to know your wife in Mexico, I would like to have you also in the session. So can you convince her that he is quickly showing up, that we are seeing the difference between Netherlands and Mexico?
Oh, I can try. Wait, let me first unplug the earphone. They would like to see the face of Mexico.
They or Daniel, eh? Daniel is such a German.
Hola.
Hola.
People from all over the country.
Oh, wow.
This, by the way, is James, my brother
James.
from South Africa. We organized the Agaforce in South Africa together.
Okay.
So yeah, you see, she's not just pretty; she's also blind.
He was Netherlands, and I think everybody now knows better what is the best in every country.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I can tell you, I will never forget the tequila from last year. And MG, if I'm telling you that the guy from Merlot was bringing you to my hotel room, it was Shane Stevens who brought me to my hotel room. I don't know how I get there, but he helped me, so fantastic.
Okay, Great. It was a very, very nice conference.
So
Yeah,
just we spoke about diets earlier. Now we're talking about tequila. I just want you guys to realize that tequila has less carbs than one banana. So choose wisely.
And apparently there's vitamins in it as well. Yeah, that's very true.
No, but today I saw a very nice posting from Anne from our Old Girls Club, and she was posting a lady who made a self-test, how you can test yourself whether you have COVID. So you see a nice person, and then you say, okay, if you can smell the wine, you have COVID.
Yeah.
But that's not sure. You have to drink it, and if you don't have it, but they have told me you have to test more often because you can never, you have to test regularly. And then after 48 tests, I had my headache and so on, but I have to steadily test. So that was a nice posting. Huh?
Yeah, it's a better test than the real one. Yeah, I can tell you that.
How is your smell? You can smell?
Yeah, well.
He never lost. I'm sorry. Sorry. He never lost the smell and the test, because sometimes when I start before the hospital, sometimes he say, I don't want to eat, I feel nausea. So all of the food was nauseous. He smelled when I was cooking, said, no today, and I changed something, because he never lost the smell. This is one that was different with the other person that everybody say, I lost the smell and the taste.
Wow.
No, he never. But he didn't want to eat because all the food was not. I don't know. You feel nauseous and something disagreeing the stomach.
The food in the hospital was just vile.
No, in the house.
Oh, in the house, yeah. Your food. No, that's wonderful.
No, but I mean.
And I have one more question. Because we were asking Marcel earlier. We were asking him, how did you get to know each other? And he was not telling us. So how did you get to know Marcel?
Was in a Netherlands, in Amsterdam, in a conference. In a in a conference. No, so no, I forgot. I use so the okay, Jefferson conference.
That was perfect.
Yeah, the Jefferson conference.
They didn't believe me that you would say the same story.
So what was the first sentence he told you?
Oh, somebody introduced me with him, and Martin said, "Oh, nice." No, he don't. I say, "Nice to meet you," and the answer of him was, "I want to marry with you." And I was in shock, and I just I was like this, like, and I was moved far away of him.
I love it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
It worked.
What did you say?
No, I told the same story, but they didn't believe me.
Yeah.
I also mentioned something about having 6 children, but.
No, I was super far. I was super far for listening that. I was honestly, I run far away of him.
And when are you going to go to Mexico and have your own house with a lot of visitors every day and so on? Is there a plan? Because you're currently in Doha.
We're here still, yeah. We don't know yet, but we don't actually know what's going to happen. I came here in 2015 with the plan to stay here at least 5 years. In the meantime, I really like Doha. I like it. Yeah, okay. I got now the COVID thing, but we really like it here. So I don't know when we leave, and if we leave, if we go to another airline, or if we say, well, you know, that's it, and then we go retire. But yeah, the idea of living in Playa del Carmen or in something else around there, really nice, really appealing. And especially now that I hear that tequila is so good for you.
So healthy,
yeah.
Yes.
No, that was one of the best virtual happy hours ever. It was the shortest one because it was only 10 minutes, but still it was very intensive. I liked it very much. Still, I'm amazed that Marco was not asking anything. Marco, come on, you have to have the last word. Say something, Marco.
I was on mute. How was that?
Oh, you were saying so many things, but nobody heard.
I was talking all the time, but I was on mute. So
and Alessandro, you haven't said anything. Also, you haven't said anything about the new Alitalia.
What is new about that, actually?
I don't know. I just reading the news that there's a new Alitalia.
We should
Nobody really knows. Nobody really knows, and now they will sit and discuss how much the name and the frequent flyer would cost for being carried over from the bad company, old company, to the new company. So they say that the name itself could be worth alone 200 million euros.
Wow. Amazing.
We will see. Yeah.
I think we should rather talk about Ego Airways. You shouldn't ask Alessandro about Alitalia. You should ask Alessandro about Ego Airways.
Right. Exciting news coming.
What are the exciting news from Ego Airways?
That is an Italian carrier that is about to be launched and will start operating domestic flights using Embraer jets starting from mid-December. So
you are then the new biggest competitor of Alitalia? You are the future of flying in Italy?
No, we're not competing with Alitalia because nothing that Alitalia does makes really sense. So if you are competing with them, you are basically failing, from the beginning. So we are just doing different things.
So what are you doing differently? Do you have, for example, a different reservation system than Alitalia?
Oh, yes. We have a next-gen super smart reservation system.
From IBS, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
It's maybe time for a commercial break. Marco, what do you think about this reservation system?
To be honest, today I'm not in the mood for commercial breaks, but here's what. Because I've just come off a 2.5-hour long presentation to a prospect, so I was doing commercial breaks all the time, and then jumping halfway into this very serious happy hour. I wouldn't say it was a dampener because that would mean that it was a negative session, but it was you're riding high on adrenaline because you're presenting to a customer. You're talking about all the great things that your software is doing for airlines and how it's so different. And then it's like 180 degrees. You're jumping into this and you're hearing all this crap about, the difficulties, the life-threatening shit that Marcel has to go through. It was a bit of an emotional roller coaster for me, to be honest.
And Maria, did you still have almost happy hour with us, or was it? Are you now feeling? How do you feel now? Because now she's
yeah. But one thing that I wanted to say is it's Marcel, it's MG, but there was also, some of you guys know him, Zoran from Air Serbia, who was diagnosed with COVID, and so was his wife. And his wife still has issues with her heart. And Zoran sailed through it almost unaffected, to the extent that he completed the triathlon after suffering from COVID. So it's really, I think that really shows the varying degrees with which it hits you, and how scary it is. It's like a lottery.
Yeah, and I got the jackpot. Yeah, that's true. No, but it is true. Like we had at my work 3 people who got it from the same person who gave it to us. So it's the same strength, it's the same amount that we got, and our reactions were completely different each. Yeah, so it's like you say, a lottery. Yeah.
And have you tried to figure out what are the differences from you to the other colleagues? What makes?
Well, one thing that helps in my case or well, actually didn't help, is that I have something else. I've got a form of leukemia on top of that. So that makes it sort of that my body reacts differently to any form of infection. So that would have helped. And yeah, but other than that, like a week before I got COVID, I still ran 10K. So my condition in general was pretty okay. I could drink like the best of us. Now I don't drink, except for water. So yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's just having luck or not having luck. Yeah, it's part of it as well.
I have really to thank you. First of all, thank you for this presentation about Mexico, Netherlands, but a bigger thank you for this very personal story. And I think the reaction here is also very touching because everybody is pretty much, yeah, I think nobody was expecting this. I tried to tease it a bit in the group and so on, because we were having the text message exchanges and so on. So I knew what to expect, but I would say that the most special virtual happy hour we ever had, especially now in this pandemic situation, and to have somebody who went through it and who can say it from first hand makes it very, very, very special. So I'm very grateful and thankful, and I hope you liked your shortest 10 minutes of your life. And yeah, because these 10 minutes, they were like 1.5 hours in my life. So you see how you could.
That's weird.
Run.
You should leave, I think you live on another planet, maybe.
And I hope you also liked it for you. We could inspire you, and hopefully we are seeing you more often in our virtual happy hour. The links for the bookings are in the chat notes, and hopefully we are seeing you very soon again. Thank you very much for this amazing presentation, and I wish you better health and that you recover soon, and that I can see some pictures from your next 10,000 meters run in Doha.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank
Cheers
you,
to all.
Marcel.
Thank you guys. Bye.
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 Bye.